Welcome to where the furniture isn't always the best, but them views, they are amazing.
It's a 13 for y'all. 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 It's a 13 for y'all.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the 13th floor where the furniture isn't always the best, but the views are amazing. I am your host, Coach K. And this week, we have only got two of us. One is down. Shout out to BJ, who's, I guess, getting ready to do some traveling.
Yeah.
And, of course, shout out to our guy that's on sabbatical, Mr. Brett Jones. Miss you, buddy. Hope you're out there.
Yes, sir.
Maybe you listen to this one. I don't know.
Maybe.
But meanwhile, I've got my guys here. I got Faison here this week.
Yo, what is going on, everybody? Happy to be here. Survive Thanksgiving. Now the planning begins for the child's Christmas.
Yeah, about that. And our resident DJ and entrepreneur ninja, which he hasn't said in quite some time, but Mr. Barry B. Fresh.
Hey, man, first off, I appreciate you go ahead and bring that thing back like a two-door Cadillac. You don't hear after hours, NBC Studios, where number 2 works for you. Man, just living life, enjoying it. Another day, another dollar-ish.
Okay. So, Art, you mentioned Thanksgiving. I know you went to Jersey. How was you guys Thanksgiving?
You know, the flight going out was pretty easy. No issues. We flew out here on that Tuesday. Simple and easy. I couldn't say. I think it was probably the easiest experience I've had flying pre and post COVID. How quiet it was in the airport, which is amazing. The boys did great on the airplane. They had their headphones on. They watched some good old Delta TV. They were great, and we had a whole row to ourselves. So because Delta does that skip middle seat, we were able to book two, and they had the whole row. But it was great. The guys were super excited. They love getting on that tram, the ATL tram from the front to the terminal. So They were excited for that. And then it's happened in Newark. We landed there. They got on the tram again and get to rent a car. So it was a good little break. And Jersey was cool. Didn't do much. Stayed in a little bubble. Got my mom from Philly, picked her up, brought her back to Jersey. Had a little small gathering at the house. No, just immediate family. And our one token. And then
So what, that's like 37 people?
No, it was like 6 or 7. It was very it was just the immediate like family. If you were not from mom or dad, you were done. And then we stayed until Saturday and came back, but it was just nice. It's probably one of the semi-stressless Thanksgiving. I mean, the beginning of the day was a little bit stressful and annoying at some points, but around 1 o'clock, it kind of just faded off, and it was just cool. So yeah.
Yep.
And I bought nothing for Black Friday. I didn't do any shopping for the first time in my entire life, but I didn't need anything. So I was tempted.
Wow.
But I didn't do anything. So I'm happy about that.
Congratulations.
Okay. Fresh, what's up, man? What part of Florida were you in for Thanksgiving?
Man, I appeared everywhere and nowhere once. I was with my mom. Very light Thanksgiving work. Nothing crazy by any means. We actually ordered food instead of worrying about cooking and doing dishes. Chill, lay back. Nothing much going on. Caught up on work like I usually do. But gave thanks, ate good.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up. Sounds like you guys had, relatively easy Thanksgiving. Your boy woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning and smoked 3 chickens and 2 racks of beef ribs and then did the turkey. I will say dinner was supposed to start at 3 o'clock. I was ready at 2:30.
Nice.
Everything was ready to go.
Nice.
Except for the people who were supposed to be eating.
Right? All the sides were missing, but the food, the meat was ready.
Well, yeah, the sides weren't quite ready yet, but it was all right. Everybody actually waited until just before the food was supposed to start, so it was good because we were still able to be socially distanced and not have a bunch of people running around like, when's the food gonna be ready?
Mhm.
So it was pretty cool.
That's what's up.
You know, no complaints there, man. So yeah, now it's after Thanksgiving, and it just seemed like now that the election's over, everything just went kind of, and we're in that little slow phase. I hope that comes out on the podcast and people actually hear that word, that little sound effect.
Oh, it's
But,
definitely there. It's
It's
definitely
definitely
there.
Is there?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
I
good,
mean,
good, good.
you look like Max Headroom while saying it, but I mean, it's
Right.
definitely there.
Perfect. Depending on who's listening this week, they don't even know who you just referred to when you said
Oh,
Max
yeah.
Headroom, but
Oh, yeah.
but we'll see. But yeah, man, it was pretty cool. You know, having all the guests and whatnot. I had to do the break room, and I literally had to go into the closet in the bedroom in order to record it because
Man,
there was
stop lying. You know good and well you had one of your cousins is Hype Williams. You went
Right?
ahead and was there for the weekend to go
Smooth.
ahead, and that man was like, yo, man, this turkey's so good, bro. Let me go ahead and shoot this. You say you got a podcast to do this week? This man had all types of super lights in the background
Right?
and everything.
It
I
was
thought
amazing.
we finally saw the Morpheus stepping into the Matrix, and then the
Right?
message was just super dope.
Yeah. Fire.
yo, you guys know how it is, man. You guys know how these things just manifest. Boom. Right. Like anytime I got to do a break room, I'm like, man, I have no idea what I'm about to talk about this week. And then all of a sudden it just pops up. Boop. Unfortunately, it usually pops up on Wednesday or Thursday, and the podcast drops on Friday, but fresh always comes through.
Hey, that's what we here for. It's funny. I was
Yeah.
actually I was driving Sammy back from Fort Pierce today and was talking about the superpower of spontaneity and like the that feeling of not knowing until it's showtime, and then all of a sudden being able to produce magic is always the reason I feel we need to do more and be more out there, because it's always that the guessing part is always too much and makes our head spin, but then like the actual moments are just like, dang, man, we need to do this more often.
Yeah, you know, it's funny how that works, man. We definitely, and what's funny about our squad is that we got some planners, but then when it comes to stuff, like, it's like we need pressure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I was actually just telling somebody that at work, and I was telling EJ that I perform better, like last minute go perform. I was talking. Oh yeah, we were talking about college or Thanksgiving, how people would do papers and they're planning out, and EJ likes to do things weeks in advance, and she gets syllabus and she did all advanced. And I was like, all right, how much time do I have to get to the professor at 8 o'clock, drop it off, and go back to sleep? All right, I start at 12 o'clock and work our way. They work backwards to that time frame. So definitely perform better under pressure.
I literally coined the term Prince of Procrastination, because it was just like, yo, I had all intents and purposes of like, oh yeah, this time I'm gonna be smart and I'm gonna, get things together, but it didn't matter. It was gonna be the last thing, and I was gonna figure out some way to power through it, but it was gonna be 9 times better than if I sat there and acted like I was gonna take all of this time to sit there. It just wasn't me. It just isn't. Like I enjoy the just get kicked out on stage. You know what I mean? Wait, what are we doing? All right, let's go.
And if the crazy part is that that's the way most of us are when it comes to being in front of people. But when it comes to us and like doing projects or planning or business things, we are completely opposite. We're like, all right, let's research, dig in, dig deep, plan it out, what's the goal? And it's just crazy to see the contrast of with an audience and for ourselves. And I pulled that also from last week's podcast, The Break Room. Even though you were talking about what we do for each other, I still was like, yo, how we perform in front of people and in front of ourselves is similar thoughts, and it crosses paths, because I did for real estate. spent weeks and months reading, understanding, and getting deep into that process, and then went and did it in a second. If you had me go out in front of a group and explain it all, I could just literally do it tomorrow morning, just go and rock it out. So it's just crazy.
I remember when me and Carol got better grades in Bartholomew's class because we spent all that time, died at the final, was half asleep, whatever. When we walked outside, he came walking outside asking us, hey, well, how you guys think we did? And me and this man just threw up on him, just like told him everything about everything. And probably like 90% of it wasn't even in whatever we wrote. But it was just like we had stayed up all night just grinding. I remember taking Vibrant.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I remember
Like,
that.
yeah, I remember like that was a all nighter. Like we went all night.
Those are the best, man. Regurgitate,
So-
take it, regurgitate, take it.
But let me ask you guys though, is that really a superpower, or is it we need to get down to that crunch time so that we can clear our mind and just focus on the one thing that needs to get done?
I think that's what it is. That getting it, leaving everything else behind and jumping straight into what we need to do. We all of us are multitaskers. We're doing so many things at once, and until we can do one task, it's just like, all right, well, I'll get to that part, or I'll do 5 minutes of this and get back to it. But when you say like tomorrow is go time, tomorrow is go time.
To me, I still think it's a superpower just because I know too many who can't do it. You know what I mean? Like I know too many people who will like, be just thrown on the spot and they just can't perform, or people who actually plan and try to, oh, I'm gonna, this is what I'm gonna do, and it's just like, no, you suck. You know what I mean? Where I do know and understand and recognize like, it is a talent and a gift to be able to do things like the live event we did for Juneteenth. You know what I mean? Like that is not what everybody has the realm to. And while we have, and that's the thing about us, we can have a skeleton and make an amazing body. And a lot of people can't do that. Like we just really need rare minimum bones to be able to create magic. Granted, if we take more time, we can of course create a better specimen, but it's still just in that ability. It's always magic.
But I think, so one is the focus piece, is being able to clear everything out and be like, oh, I gotta get this done in this time right now. That's one thing. But I think when all of us are together, there's also a benefit in knowing who does what role and who does what well. And we just trust that this person is going to do that. And that's it. We just run and then just put it all together in the end. Like, okay, there it is.
Mm-hmm.
Ready. Let's go. So, and I think that's a part that other people don't take the time to figure out. Granted, we have time on our side. We've done so many things over the years that we kind of already know, okay, Art's going to do this, Ian's going to do this, BJ's going to do this, Carol's going to do this. And then we just trust it and run. And I think a lot of teams or units or whatever you want to call it, they don't take the time to figure that out.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah.
They try to plug people into stuff, and then they're just like, why isn't this working?
Yep.
Well, I think the assessments, right? Our discovery and your introducing us to that in our own ability to delve deeper into those elements and having a better understanding of like that breaking down of just not groups and personalities and really people don't take the time to really think about that. You know what I mean? It's stuff like people don't really get far past, oh, well, there's alpha males and there's not alpha males. You know what I mean? Like, which really has nothing to do with anything, but like, that's like the most that people really think about. Like, how does my personality really play into how I do work, how I can get work done, how I interact with other people, how does their personality, you know what I mean? Like people don't really, they have some very raw and bare like versions of it that you might slightly think of, but on the normal, people don't take that time to really like think about it and diagnose and then really get the understanding in depth of like, okay, well, this is my personality, but then also like, yo, this is who I'm working with. Okay, this is what they have going on, and this is how we work together to be able to take those additional steps and and get into that groove of, where it's second nature. But I still think it's a superpower because with that said, we still do that when we are in other places away from each other. We still do, like, you still do that when they call you in to do a meeting out of nowhere and you got some random phone call and they're like, hey, now Carol explained this, that you're just like, yo, how you just go ahead, but you still just boom and break it down in a way that they're like, well, we never even heard it explained like that. And that actually is better than the way that we needed it explained. And you know what I mean? But it just is what it is.
Right. Yeah, that's true. Fact. And hilarious. Yeah. Listen, if you want to improve your team, yeah, shout us out. Reach out to us. We can help you out. I don't want to do a commercial right now, but I do want to pivot a little bit from that conversation. So I was reading something that happened today. Actually, it'll be a couple days by the time everybody's hearing this, you guys know how I feel about this, but so President Obama commented, he was talking about, the justice movement at this point and what not, and equality. And he said something about the defunding the police statement, saying that, hey, once you say defunding the police, you've already lost so much of the audience that's listening to you that now you're not going to get any change. So you got to get rid of terms like defunding the police if you want to actually have the conversation and make a change. So of course, all of our, some of our people are jumping on him and saying, oh, see, this is what we mean. You know what I mean? How's he going to say, the police are doing this and that, to our community, and how is he going to say that? And once again, he's just proving that he doesn't do anything for Black people and this, that, the other. So they're trying to skewer this man now about that statement. What do you guys' thoughts?
It's the typical heartbreaking Negro syndrome. You know what I mean? Where it is very hard to consistently watch us as a people, this cancel culture and quick to dismiss without true understanding and clarity of what you are trying to dismiss, but then also not realizing and understanding the power of language. Like if you look at Trump, he is extremely he's extremely he's very poignant with the language that he uses and what he's looking to incite with the language that he uses, and the understanding of that
with the people that he's trying to incite.
But again, with it makes perfect sense what Barack is saying, what Obama's saying, just because it's language. It's about language, and there are too many people who will just put on blinders once that statement is made and don't even take the time for the clarity of what it truly means to understand it. That just by changing the words to what did he say? He how did he say to change the language?
Well, he just said we need to get rid of terms like defund the police.
Well, I swore though he gave an example of saying something else, basically saying that would be about taking their budgets and infusing them in the community. However, he said it where it's if you change the language, I mean, but that's common marketing stuff, that's common sales stuff, that's like common life stuff, where that's why certain books are better than others, because I mean, we're all using the same language, but it's how you put that language together, how you put those words together, that is the key in being able to, in a sense, provide some clarity to what is a confusing message when all you hear is defund. In the black and white of hearing defunding, it can leave a lot to question.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how many times have you, both of you, had to explain to someone what the defunding process really means? And that's the conversation that we need to have, or think back for what Obama was saying. Like, that's it. When you say those words, you say defund. They well, no, it's not taking the guns away. It's not this. It's actually reallocating this. It's actually making it more community based. But you've already gotten to a point where it's like, oh well, no, you can't take our guns away. You can't get rid of our cops. If you defund the police, then no one will protect us. Like, well, that's not what it means. So, like you said, it really is the words you use for that process and how you get it across. And if we just change a couple of words, I agree with him. Changing the words to make it different. Reallocating funds for police. I've said it myself to people when they come up with that thought, and it's like, oh well, yeah, well, how would you do that? The conversation starts, and people are asking questions. Well, tell me more about what you're talking about. But when you're saying defund, or you're saying get rid of this, or take cops out of our areas, then it's like, well, is that going to help you? Why would you do that?
Yeah, and you know what? You bring up a good point, because when you say defunding the police, I think most people are going to think you're taking away the money that is helping run these precincts, right? And you're taking away jobs.
Yep.
Not only that,
From
they
police
even talk
officers.
about they had videos talking about making it seem like you would call 911 and they would be like, oh, it's
Yeah.
after hours. You know what I mean? And it's just like, no, that's
welcome.
not.
Well, shoot, welcome to a black neighborhood, and that's with them funded. So,
Right.
but what I was really going to say was, yeah, it's a reallocation of funds, right? So if you want to say restructure police funding or something, whatever you want to say, because that's really what it is. Do our police precincts need tanks and military type stuff? Well, no, leave that to the military and the National Guard.
Exactly.
Especially how often are you practicing on these things? So when you get out there to use it, are you misusing it? Are you hitting somebody in the eye with some type of canister that you shouldn't?
But see, the thing is that it's not. The thing is not that they're not using it and not practicing with it. It's that what type of officer does it breed when you are practicing for warfare for, a community of traffic stops? You know what I mean? Like, you are creating officers who are, yeah, let's do something, bro. I want to do something. We got to do something. And that's what creates, all of this aggression at a simple traffic stop, or, no knock warrants where they go and blasted everybody and things of that nature. Because if you are going to put officers in war situations when they are not necessarily going to war or not in war situations, it's like, yo, you are only breeding them to be like, yo, yeah, I wanna bust them. I want to use these toys. I have all of these toys. I want to use them. And so that's the thing, is like, yo, you don't need a rocket launcher. You don't.
Prime example is when I was in Wayne, and I drove down to Philly. 2 officers doing the same exact thing. I went to supermarket. Officer was sitting out front of the supermarket, just talking, having a good old time, chit chatting. Same thing happened in Philly, but the officers there are consistently looking around, just like nonstop talking, but looking over his shoulder. And it's like, well, why are you ready to attack someone? I mean, you're here. It's Thanksgiving. Like, people are not thinking about that, but you're already on alert 10 to react, versus just saying, well, let's diffuse it. And granted, I don't know what his history is, but the fact that if he felt that nervous in that environment, then he shouldn't be there, because that's what causes concern. It's nervousness and scared of the what if.
Yep. It's an interesting conversation. I just want people at some point to realize, the same way that Joe Biden said, hey, I ran as a Democratic nominee, but I'm going to run this country as the president of the United States, not as a Democrat, right? It's the same way people need to realize Barack Obama is a black man who ran for president. He ran president of the United States, not the president of the ununited black people.
Yeah. Yeah. Big facts.
Yep. Things to learn, man. Things to learn. Things for people to do. It's funny. We just have so far to go.
It's
and
continuously amazing to just see the way our society truly is daily, and like watch all of this unfolding in this surreal universe that we are now a part of. Because I mean, it's like amazed but not amazed, right? Because it's just like I always thought that, you know, racism was still this strong, and yeah, it actually is. Or I always, you know,
Well, that's a good point. Just to look at, you know, let's talk about it. To look at, you know, almost 50% of the country that just wanted to continue with the status quo. What does that tell you? And is that a representation of, you know, is that a representation of your workplace? Is that a representation of the police force? Are they, you know, are they probably 50-50, or depending on where you are, that 50 may swing over to the side that is not favorable for you? What happens?
yeah, and I think that's the well, I think it's I talked about it before, where for a lot of white people, it wasn't about racism. Like, it's still, even with that being screamed from our lungs, to them, it still did not signify that to them. Like, it does, just like there are white people who do not feel that the Confederate flag, regardless, like, no, it's not racism, it's Southern pride and XYZ, and like, yo, it doesn't matter. Like, it's more of that kind of thought process where they have a total, they're oblivious in a sense to the, I won't even say oblivious, but they just don't have a care or a thought in the sense of thinking it's tied to racism. And whether that's just the total disbelief that racism still exists, or just hey, it doesn't affect me, so I'm not, like, yo, I just want to know I can take home more of my money. Like, that's the biggest thing with them has been.
But again, where are your priorities at?
I'm not one that it definitely again continues to show the what is not surprising, but it's like, yo, when you put in their face, hold on, so you think that a leader who lies and cheats and like will just say whatever and like all of these things that you can point out that are factual, have seen done, like, yo, you're okay with this? Is like what you want as the example for your children as a leader, and like they will like, well, yeah, because it's going against the government. And this, like, where you're like, it's like looking at a three-headed person, because it's amazing to like, can you hear what you're saying out of your mouth that you think is okay to qualify and define that it's okay to be this type of person? And not only to be this type of person, but to be the example of what a leader is. Like, it's just amazing. And but it is true, like they have a real, just like, I don't see that part of it. And it's just, it's crazy, because I always figured that, but to see the reality of it is just like one of those, like, well, where do we go from here?
I think I'm going to go with 2 points here. One, the first one is that I think it's because there's no one there there's no connection. I think Kay, you brought it up there's no one there. So for the Confederate flag mindset, oh, it's just Southern pride. Like, there's no one there in that immediate circle that's like, well, you know that Southern pride helped kill my dad, right? Like that no one's there to say that or grasp that opinion. And the second thing is that for those who, no one wants to be the dad or the mom who, for instance, the fight that happens weekend, goes home, gets knocked out, goes home and tells your son, oh, do this. And your son goes, for what? Why? What are you gonna do about it? So having that thought behind, if I go against the grain that's around my neighborhood and I'm the only one that's saying, well, I'm gonna pull the flag down because it makes sense. Now everyone's like, well, why are you doing that? Now so it's kind of that community around you. And until there's some integration and some understanding of what's happening, you're gonna always have that. I mean, prime example, it has to be here in Georgia, where the slur street progression, and there's still heavy pockets, but the progression is starting to, as people moving in California, moving to Texas, all coming here, that, oh, it's got to be this, it's the way it is changing. I mean, all those Confederate states came down wasn't because people were here.
It's no different than the Stone, what's it called? Stone Mountain?
Stone Mountain, yeah, which I still have to go to.
Where, look, the crazy thing is I went without knowing what I was going to, and then was like, presented with, we are here at this, and I'm just like, wait a minute, like,
and the funny thing is, I think most people do.
Yeah,
well, most people look like us do.
It was just like, yo,
They have
Stone
no
Mountain,
idea what they're going to.
It sounded like a cool thing, and like you're like, oh, word, yeah. And then like when I got there and I'm just like, well, who is that on? This is what? We're where? Hold on, wait, what? Like it is one of those just crazy moments because it is a beautiful place. I will not lie. And like being on top of that thing is amazing. I will not lie at all. But then like you feel the levity and weight of where you are, that it's a lot. Like it's crazy. But that's the thing, is like people will still fight tooth and nail for oh no, their face still needs to be on there and there still needs to be representation. And it's like, for what?
Well, the thing that I don't understand, and anyone can clarify this for me, but in no other country, in no other time, is the traitor celebrated. The
Traitor, the loser,
the Confederate flag, the go against go against the government, were trading against the current environment, against the government, and they lost. But yet they're celebrated. And I don't understand. There's pride behind my grandfather, this, blah, blah. And I understand that part behind it. But like, as a people, everybody, not all your people fought in that. Not all you, some of you guys moved here and just took up whatever was around the area. So like,
but that's because usually in other places, when you have a war or you have a battle, it is with the goal of these people are wrong. We need to get rid of them and their mentality, and they either need to get in line with what we're doing or get out. Right? The Civil War was not necessarily that. And they like to say that it was about freeing the slaves and slavery was wrong. But at the end of the day, no, it wasn't. It was about money.
Yep.
Right? And the South had more money because of the free labor and slavery than the North did.
Yep.
And the North was just like, we don't like this. We don't like this at all. And that's what it was really about. Let's balance out this money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And if you look at it, here we are today, no Civil War, but you got people voting a particular way because, as you said, it's about their money.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah. Yep.
Right? So at the end of the day, everything is still driven by money, and money becomes the priority and everything falls after that.
Oh yeah.
Well, it's power. It's the power.
Yeah, well,
always
money gives you power.
But ultimately it is the power, that ability to have control over people and things. Like that is ultimately what it is, an ability to know that you can manipulate and control. That's the true drug. Well, anyway, hear from WK2.
Nice. All right. Well, listen, we always ask the same question. What do we do from here? How do we?
Listen, man,
right now,
it's communicate, man. And I'll always say this, and I always say that you have to have an open mind. You got to communicate. People are different. People are crazy. People are dumb. People are smart. You have to be able to weed through and just listen. If someone's just dumb as a doorknob, let them talk. Don't get disrespectful. Just let them talk, and then you say your points, and you guys walk away knowing you say your thing. But
Right, because they can probably tell you how to open the door really well.
Right. But it's just, listen, people have their people that's gotten there. I mean, there are people in the country that can teach you things you never would imagine being from a city, and vice versa on how you think about things. Listen, we're in this environment where we have to make sure that we don't stay closed-minded. The closed mind gets you nowhere, and no matter what you're going through, where you've been, you have to understand that you got to see that view before you shoot your arrow at that. You got to understand what the target is, and their target will be different. So you got to see it, and then you can shoot your target. You still can shoot. You got to know why.
Yeah, you know what? I just think, unfortunately, when minds are closed for so long, the mind and the body become just used to that this is how we operate. And I don't think there is a way to penetrate until a long period of time goes by.
Yeah. Yeah. I hate to see this, but some of the people with the old stature need to go. And when I say go, need to pass on and be done and let some new blood understand. And there are still going to be people that pass down and grasp their, this is what I was taught, this is how it's going to work, but there's more of the, but no, this doesn't make any sense. And the challenge is happening. And it's happening right now with government. I think once we get all the Senate and the House and people who've been there for 30 years, not saying that some of them are bad, but if they can't progressively change their mind as time has changed, then it's time for them to make their way. Look at Joe. Joe is a prime example of the swing from where he was to where he is now, and the thoughts behind that process. I mean, some people just have to adjust, and they're stuck in their ways, and people are stuck in their ways, and unfortunately they need to pass it on or step away. But also for us to need to challenge them and understand that if you're going to go at a conservative, you can't go at a conservative state strictly hardcore libertarian. You got to ease that conversation in. You got to start on that kind of conservative side and make your way and move it slowly, needle. You can't just jump in, and you can have all the money you get from donations, like it happened in Kentucky. All the money you want, all these big things. But if you're too liberal for the conservative crowd, it's not going to happen. You got to ease in years at a time, 4 years, 3 years, 2 years at a time.
I was going to say,
go ahead, Fresh.
No, I was going to say that it's like I always preach. I mean, it's the best of times and the worst of times. It's with the internet, we are.
Oh man.
That is the key factor is the access to invisibility of what's going on. So unlike other times in history, even like with things like the vaccine, right? Where, everybody's talking about the speed of how quick they're doing it and everything else, where it's you look at the Spanish flu was last time, quote unquote, there was a pandemic of this type of nature. But it's like, we didn't have communication to be able to talk to the people in Europe, in the same day and know what was going on back then. It's the understanding and realization of how fast technology has and does excel, and just what's going on that is providing that change that we're looking for, because it has now where the younger generation is actually making those challenges to the older generation, where the younger generation is actually being able to get the information and knowledge. Like, I feel like even us, like our generation, we felt like you had to be so much older to even get into thinking about Congress and Senate and anything like that. Whereas like, they're like, we're 21. We about to try to do it now. You know what I mean? Like, we want to make the change now. That's been the good thing, that you can see it's starting to happen now.
Representative Ocasio-Cortez is 30 years old.
Yeah, that is like, but we are seeing that. And not only are we seeing that, but then it's also like being able to see Kamala say that she likes Tupac, and then not be like a taboo, like, get it, that it's just like, it is what it is, that like you are seeing that our culture is culture, you know what I mean, and that it's universal, and that it's that it's all here, and that it's able to not be hidden and swept under, like, hey, don't talk about the rap music, tell them that you like Steely Dan, that's your band of choice, you know what I mean, that has been able to slowly start to be brushed away, and people can be themselves and start to allow their talents to be what moves them around the needle. But we're still in the infancy phases of it, but it's still beautiful to watch.
It is.
Next on Channel 2, where it works for you.
Yeah, none of that came through. Did you hear what he said, Art?
I heard you.
Yeah, you might want to try that again.
It's all good.
All right, that moment has passed.
Yeah.
Faison, I'm coming to you in a second for your corner, followed by Fresh Ovation, which we didn't get to early on in the show. But just to close this out, I agree with you. I think new blood is needed. And it's funny because in that same conversation with President Obama, he also said, hey, I think we need to start looking at some of the new blood and getting their thoughts and ideas and giving them time. And not just pushing them to the background, which we happen to know is a thing that they do in government with the younger folks. But yeah, and specifically, he brought up Representative Ocasio-Cortez, like, hey, how come we're not giving her more floor time and more media coverage? There's probably some fresh new ideas there. So it'll be interesting to see what happens and how things develop. But right now, the feeling that I have is one of, oh, we're back to regular time.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
how it feels. It feels like, oh, we're just back to regular, just carry on everyday life. There's nobody talking about grabbing women's crotches and tweeting about everything.
Yeah, it's about to slow down a lot. It's going to be a lot slower. I kind of feel bad for CNN and Fox because all that coverage they got is about to slow down.
Right.
And NBC
Well-
and ABC, we're going to get a lot more of that 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. TV time will be coming back.
It's been it's just been good that they have not allowed his BS to be validated, because that was the one thing that I was scared of watching, was them
Like,
giving him any slip of just allowing him to leave it. So, granted, there are still people who still believe with him that there was, stuff going on, but it's awesome that like every case, every, stick down, no, we checked that. No.
Well,
Yeah. And, look, I'll caution people out there, anybody listening, still be on your P's and Q's and watch what's going on around you, because, I think everybody had the expectation that something was going to happen around election time. Nah, I think that was too obvious. It's going to be when everybody feels comfortable, like nothing's going on, all of a sudden, they're out, causing havoc. So just keep your eye out, be alert. Faison, what you got for your corner?
It's Christmas time, man. It's time to get ready for Christmas. I want to just express my enjoyment of seeing so many brown Santas here in Atlanta. CVS, Walgreens, Hobby Lobby has a whole section of beautiful brown Jesus, brown Santa, brown angels. I mean, it's a mecca in there, and I'm just excited. I had to explain to Namdi about brown Santa and white Santa, and we talked about the North Pole and the South Pole, and how brown Santa is in the South Pole. He enjoys being warm. He still does his thing, and they're cousins. But brown Santa works the same way he does, but he delivers. And white Santa is in the North Pole doing his thing up there, enjoying cold. And the thought that he goes, oh, well, there is two. Cool, I like them both. And that changes mindset, because he kept saying, oh, Santa, but that's not Santa, but that's not Santa. I had to explain to him, there is brown Santa, it's okay. So I'm just happy to see that. I have them all over the house. They're my elf on the shelves, but they're Santas, and they're literally in every room that they go in, just as a, hey, he's watching you kind of thing. So it's really cool to do that. I'm excited. I decorated the house already, with the front porch is already decorated. I got into Christmas spirit. So I hope all you guys are out there getting yourselves together, doing what you can. It's not about the gifts, it's about the holiday, the feeling of being together. So go out there and celebrate and have fun as a family. It's going to be a very small Christmas this year for everybody because of COVID. So just enjoy the time, some hot cocoa, and I'll tell you more about this Christmas story as you go through the month of December. So I really enjoy Christmas.
That's funny. And it's just amazing how different the households could be, because I really hope I don't have to have that brown Santa versus white Santa conversation in my house. Because look here, man, that white Santa works for FedEx, the brown Santa works for UPS. What can brown do for you? But in any case, Santa didn't bring you none of that.
Either
Mommy
way,
and Daddy got you that stuff.
neither
Grandma
one
and
of them had anything
Grandpa
to do with it.
got you that stuff. Just want you to know. I'm watching. Ain't no elf on the shelf. Might be a flying squirrel since I got those in the attic. But anyway.
Let that be known.
Fresh, what you got for the people, man?
Oh man. Let's see. Let's see. All right. Just like I always, we were talking about language. Um, it brought me back to I told you guys before. Art had brought up one time. This is the same one that you said before, and again, it isn't the I'm not delivering the same one, but a lot of the messages are tied together. Where you know I might have to feed you with a different with a spoon instead of a fork, or maybe a knife. Whatever it may be. But by giving you these different ways of digesting this information, hopefully it will stay and resonate in your spirit. Um, I practice patience, understanding, and compassion with others as well as with myself. I'm able to live a calm, peaceful life and overcome whatever it is that bothers me. No matter what happens, my mind stays at peace. All in my life, all in my life is peaceful and full of harmony. I live in harmony with the world. I live in harmony with my emotions. um I believe in the Tao Te Ching. They speak of the importance of being able to have like a neutral existence, in the sense of they talk about not like when things are going crazy, or there's a tragic moment, being able to stay calm in during adversity helps you get through that moment. But being able to keep that calmness allows you to have a more harmonious life, because those drastic ups and downs are what can rattle you and get you off of focus. So by being able to remain calm, it doesn't mean that you don't find enjoyment or don't feel emotion, but being able to stay in that harmonious state can allow you to have a longer and more fruitful ride. So enjoy that. Sizzling in your spirit. It's Preservation this week. We out.
I need Brett to come back, because when I'm the moderator, I feel like I got to be more respectful of people and let them do that thing. Because if Brett was here, I would have sure jumped in like, do you believe in the who? The Tao Te who?
You know about the Tao Te Ching?
The Tao Te Ching? Man, I don't
Yes.
know about no Tao Te Ching.
Yo, you first off, you would definitely enjoy the Tao. I'm gonna send it to you, because it is like it's pre-Bible, pre everything, where it is just a book of life teachings, ancient like Asian proverbs type stuff. So
Where you get this
definitely
book from, man?
me and Sammy actually read this probably 5 or 6 years ago. It was just one of our spiritual, not religious type journeys where and I'm sure you've seen it. It's Tao. Everybody thinks it's Tao, but it's really Tao Te Ching. That I'm sure you've seen it places and not really like paid attention to what it is. But again, I recommend everyone, like, and especially if you have any type of spirituality in you or even religious beliefs, because it's really, like I said, it predates Bible, Quran, all of that kind of stuff, and it's just supposed to be teachings of how to living a good long life. And
Is
it's
that when you
just
started? Is that when you started walking around with beads on and stuff? Because
ex-
if I get to that point, you know what I'm saying, I'm already bald headed. I look like a black Shaolin monk.
it was right at that time when I was getting into my V. You saw me with my I had my little monk necklace on and everything. It definitely was around that time. But it's just one of those, again, like I said, being more spiritual, it really provides some interesting clarity on taking away a lot of the white noise of life, because when it was written, none of this stuff that we allow to distract us was here. And so it really provides a purity of thought process in how you move, what you find importance to, and how you're looking to enrich your life.
Yo, that's awesome, man. Yeah, the Tao Te Ching. Okay, I see it. So for those of you that are listening that may be interested in checking it out, that is Tao. That's one word. Second word is Te. That's not T. For those of you that may not know, and then the Ching is just like Chingy, the rapper. Ching. Ching. So awesome,
Good stuff.
man. Man, you just never know what you're gonna get, man. You know, and that's you just
That's
never
how I
know.
do, You never know. You never know. And that's what that's what I pride myself on. The fact that,
You,
yeah, a
you
lot
never
of
know,
people
and
might might think I'm a psychopath, but then they be like, yo, the Tao Te Ching, what is this? This dude making up something? But it's like, nah. And that was actually something I will say, I have not read the Bible, but I've read the Tao.
I mean, do you have to read the Bible? It seems like people would read it for you over your lifetime.
Yeah. And I mean, I just, and to me,
or actually they'll read the verses and scriptures that they want to read too.
Exactly. But I think it's
Not
always
over and
with
over
reading. I'm always about especially past school. It's like if I'm attracted to it in the res, I'll go through it. But I'm not an avid reader. I don't, you know what I mean? I don't look to read like that. So it definitely takes a real nature and force to pull me to it. But it was like as soon as I got it, again, because of my feeling of more spirituality, it was like, oh, I'm curious of it just because it wasn't so religious that I just wanted to know. But then, like I said, because it predates so much and just the simplicity of a lot of the stuff, it's a lot of those aha moments and a lot of those just like, oh, wow, that does make a lot more sense. Like I was talking about with the calmness, where it's like, wow, if you can learn to kind of live in this neutral ability in space, and not to say that you're never going to get sad or you're never going to get, happy, but to have that control of, in the normal, like, throughout most time, you are able to just enjoy that. Even when things are bad, you're able to, oh, well, that's just part of life. It is what it is. I can get over it. This, like, it's made for a reason. Or when things are good, yeah, it's good. That's awesome. But like, yo, it's just life. We're here. We're enjoying, you know what I mean? And being able to keep that consistency actually helps you feel and live better in the way that you interact. You stop screaming at your child, you know what I mean? Because you start to realize like, yo, if I start to just have dialogue and get into a space of harmony and realize to not have these, it brings everything into that same peacefulness.
I'm gonna take that and use that because I need some of that for this this four year old
And
and
it's
3-year-old. So I'm going to harmonize myself.
and it's one of those things that
play.
you
Next
have
week.
to kind of subconsciously tell yourself over and over again. But once you start to really look to put it in motion, you see the real benefit of realizing like, yo, like even when I am extremely frustrated with something, to still be able to keep that calmness is what allows me to just articulate what my frustration is better. You know what I mean?
We got to keep this one going because this is something we can talk about next week and go deeper and deeper. And I'm sure you have some amazing examples, and we can throw some crazy situations at you and see what we're going for, especially from BJ's point of view and my point of view and Kay's point of view. I always have different levels of stress, different levels of excitement. I go 250 excitement, and then if it gets anger, it's like 3,000.
Yep.
So yeah, let's put a pin on that one and bring it back. So I definitely want to hear more about that and see maybe you can give us some more insights and share with the people. It's a different way of thinking, because the way we're thinking now as a culture, as a community, as a people of the United States of America, we need to think differently, because what we're doing now isn't working. Maybe we can change some minds and open some eyes, open that third eye, and see if we get some more things.
It's always funny.
I would get third eyes.
I didn't even it's funny because like I don't even it's the things that you take for granted, because like I won't lie on how much that book impacted me, but I never even thought of the fact that like you guys have no clue of what it was. You know what I mean? Like that's like I'm just like, dang, like I'd never really talk about it like that. But at the same time, like I said, like that was one of, especially you talk about that type of information, like that was something that really, like, I remember when me and Sammy first kind of learned about it, and then I think his dad put him on with it. But it was just like having those like have conversations about it, but then kind of getting into it. And it was like, especially for me and Sammy, that was like one of the first times we were on I don't want to say intelligent conversation, but like stuff past, like, you know what I mean? You talk about with your best friend that's just like regular, normal, you know what I mean? Football, whatever, BS girls, that it was like, yo, we really got into like a moment of like, yo, this really changed the way that we think and like how we do stuff, how we operate. But yeah, I would love to and I'll make that part of I guess an extra piece of preservation
Segment.
now. Yeah,
Segment.
exactly. Bring a little bit of that
That's gonna be
down.
the topic. Next week's topic is going to go into that. That's not a segment. It's something that we gotta.
Okay. Yeah. Hey, listen.
That you lead us to down this path of harmony and peacefulness.
Yeah, I need harmony and peacefulness. You know
Yes.
what I mean? And I'm glad I asked about it because I could have just went away just quietly and thinking that we was talking
100%.
about the the stock market. We talking about the Tao Te Ching, king of the Tao, right? And so I'm glad I asked. And I'm gonna go ahead and close this out because we're getting to that time. But this was an awesome example, ladies and gentlemen, of having the courage to be open to the dialogue, because there is so much that you could learn that you've never thought of that could be helpful to you or that could be insightful to you. And some of us, we're so closed off and think that we know it all, or we think that our circle knows it all, that we just don't open up. And when we have the dialogue, we get better understanding. When we get better understanding, we make better decisions. We make better movements. And that is the challenge this week. Where is it that you are closed off, that you think there is nothing anybody can tell me that will add to this particular topic, where you could change your mind and say, I'm going to give it a shot and I'm going to listen to one or two people that I wouldn't normally listen to? And what information could you get that could change the course of the remainder of your life? That's our show this week on the 13th floor, where the furniture isn't always the best, but the views, they are amazing. If you're listening, you know what you're listening to it on, so you might as well tell somebody else. No need for us to tell you where to listen to it.
Amazing.
It's the 13th floor,